Good morning, fellow readers, writers, and lovers of all things books. Today's Monday, and I'm back at the cabin. And I just discovered that I totally forgot to bring my laptop charger, which is bad because I have now only 63% battery left, and it drains really quickly. So we'll see how far I get. Good idea. Okay, so let me tell you about my books. I have 2 books written in my own name, these, and I have 2 others written with someone else under pseudonym JB Ocean. And let me start with those. So this one is called Blue. This one is called Blue 2, not Blue the second, but it's also called Blue because this is the first edition of Blue. We self-published this book in 2019. We wrote this novel. This was the very first writing project that I really finished, 2019. So we wrote this, we published it ourselves, and not because we couldn't find a publisher, but because we were too scared to submit it. Fear of rejection. Anybody? We published it, and then 3 weeks after we published it, we were approached by this publisher, Hemley Books. They decided they wanted to publish it, traditionally publish it. So this is actually my very first traditionally published book, but I wrote it together with my friend Yoka. It was then released in February of 2020. I think right about when COVID hit. It was in the bookshops, but you were not in the bookshops, so no one saw it, which is a shame because it's a really cute novel. It's about Olivia. Olivia is a very introverted young woman who owns an art gallery in Antwerp, in Belgium, and she carries this big secret with her, which makes her depressed. Sometimes only her best friend Ellen knows what happened to her, what is this big secret of hers. And yeah, well, you have to read the book to find out, of course, what the secret is. But really lovely book, really lovely novel, a lot of great reactions to it, but bad timing, unfortunately. So this is actually the same book. And I wrote another one together with my friend Yoka. This is Cherry Red and Crazy Like a Cherry or something. I don't know how you would translate the subtitle, Kriekenzot. Doesn't really matter. This one was released in May, a few months ago, May 2020. And this one is more of a feel-good novel, whilst Blue, the title already suggests it. Blue is very blue. Blue is very dramatic, and there are some lighter moments in it. I mean, there's, a bit of a funny strike, funny, whatever. It's sometimes a little bit funny. This one is most of the times funny, sometimes teary. Lovely book about a young woman again named Charlie, and Charlie owns a very hip lunch bar, breakfast bar, something like that, also in Antwerp. All the JB Ocean books are situated in Antwerp. She has a lovely bunch of friends. They call themselves the Breezer Club, from the Bacardi Breezers that we used to drink when we were teenagers. They did as well. And the only thing missing from her life is a boyfriend. Her friends persuade Charlie to create a Tinder account and to go and find herself a boyfriend. In the meantime, you will meet Georgina, another main character of this book, and she is an elderly lady who has been left alone since her beloved sister Elizabeth has died, and they did everything together, and now she's alone with her two sausage dogs. And Georgina is this lovely character. I really adore her, and when she and Charlie meet, they will change each other's lives forever. Lovely book, if I may say so myself. And then these are my babies. In 2020, I released this one. They are both psychological thrillers. This one is called Alone, and this one was released in 2021. It's called Road Trip to Nowhere. Both are being translated to English because an American publisher has bought the translation rights. So I will keep you posted because very soon they will be available in English-speaking countries. Alone is based on a true story, actually, something that happened to me while I was pregnant with my son. It's about a young woman called Julie, and she disappears when she's 7 months pregnant, and nobody knows where she's gone. Is she dead? Is she abducted? And the police suspect her boyfriend of killing her. And this is one of those books where from the beginning you know who did it. It's not a whodunit. It's not a who did it. It's more of a why done it and maybe a how done it, but most of all why done it, with a twist at the end. And I will cherish this book forever because this is the first one that I wrote myself entirely. By the way, I love the cover, and I also love the interior design of the book. Let me show you without spoiling too much, but it has these images in it, which I really love. Love this book to pieces. And Road Trip to Nowhere, love this one too. Also a psychological thriller. I'm really so happy with this cover, with the beautiful yellow van. Love it. Dragonfly on the front, very symbolic. If you like dragonflies, this is a book for you. It will also be translated into English. It has a lot of dragonflies in it, like so. Isn't that gorgeous? It is, isn't it? Road Trip to Nowhere is about Michelle, who decides to leave everything behind. She has a marriage that has gone to pieces. She has a toxic relationship with her mom. She's about to lose her job as a kindergarten teacher. She's so fed up. She's had it. Life cannot become any worse. So she grabs a little bag, a tent, her ukulele, and she decides to just drive off. And she ends up in Portugal on a road trip. And there she meets this other woman, Isa, who's traveling with her little child, with a little daughter, Frey. And very soon Michelle finds out that Isa is actually on the run for her ex-husband. And before she realizes it, Michelle gets all tangled up in this situation, and then the shit hits the fan, as they say. If you want to know the rest, then you can read it in Dutch, or you can soon read it in English. Oh, by the way, Alone will also be translated into French because the rights have also been sold to France, which is very exciting. So yeah, the genres I write are psychological thrillers, and feel good is also something I like to write. The project that I'm working on right now is a sequel to Alone. So it's also going to be a psychological thriller. But then after that, or in between that, I will be writing another feel-good novel in my own name. And those are actually also the genres that I like to read. I very much like to read good thrillers, good feel-goods, but also literary novels I can enjoy. What I don't like to read, I'm really sorry, but I don't like to read fantasy. If you like to read thrillers, feel-good novels, a literary novel once in a while, then yeah, feel very welcome. Oh, and if you don't, if you like other genres, or if you think there's a specific book in another genre that I will really love, let me know. I am totally open to suggestions. Cup of coffee. Got myself a new cup, by the way, with a gold spoon. Really, really love it. So this book, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, it's from a Japanese writer. His name is Toshikazu Kawagachi. Toshikazu Kawaguchi. If you're from my generation, you might remember the Tamagotchi. His last name reminds a little bit of that, Kawaguchi. The book was written in 2015, but I think it was only translated to English in 2019. And then it became, for some reason, a huge hit on TikTok, BookTok. I have seen this cover so many times that I surrendered to the hype and I decided to buy it myself. What I would like to do is tell you what I liked and what I maybe didn't like so much about this book. And I will try to tell you this before my coffee gets cold. Let me first tell you what it's about. The book is about traveling. Oh my god. So the book is about a time traveling cafe in Japan. When you have a seat in this specific seat, you can travel back in time. There are a number of rules you need to follow. I'm going to go into detail because you have to read the book. But one big rule is that you can only stay in the past for as long as your coffee isn't cold. Staff member who will pour you a cup of coffee. You drink from the coffee and then you think about the time where you want to go back to, and then you go back to that time and you have to finish your cup of coffee before it gets cold, and then you travel back to the present. I loved the premise. This is something that I truly love. The fact that you can drink your cup of coffee, travel back in time, talk to someone who maybe is not here anymore, and then you come back. And yeah, I loved the premise. I loved some parts of the book. Some parts of the prose were very different from the rest, strangely. I loved those. I think there's also a movie adaptation, and I think I would enjoy the movie too because I saw some clips from it and the movie looks really nice. I love that it's a short book. It doesn't need to be very thick, I think, so I love that. I love the cover, a really cute cover. I truly love the photo of the author. I mean, look at his cute little face. Very cute. Say that Before the Coffee Gets Cold was not my cup of tea. Got it? First of all, I think the writing was a little bit too simple and maybe too much like it was a play. I could really see this stage with like 4 people on stage, the tables, the chairs from the coffee shop, the little counter behind which there was Kazu, the lady who serves the coffee, and they would all just come in, go out, come in, go out. The writing was very much like a screenplay. It felt like I was reading a screenplay, and that bothered me. Because of that, the characters seemed very one-dimensional. I didn't have a connection with any of them, actually. When I looked up this book, I saw people being very emotional about it. Like this was a book that really went straight to their hearts and they cried their eyes out. And I'm a crybaby. I cry when there's a sad story or a beautiful story or something happening in a movie. It will make me cry. If it's meant to make you cry, I will be crying for sure. I didn't shed one tear with this book, which is really odd to me. Also, there was a lot of repeating going on, like the rules, what you can and cannot do when you travel back, were repeated so many times. The way the coffee is made was repeated a lot. There was a lot of explaining going on, like who is who. But when this happens, I feel like the writer thinks I'm stupid because I cannot remember a character from another chapter. And I do remember a character from another chapter. There are not that many characters in this book, so it's not so hard to remember them. So yeah, that was a little bothersome. Another thing about the characters, I felt that they behaved in an unnatural way. And maybe I was wondering about this. Maybe this is a cultural thing. I don't know. If you have read Before the Coffee Gets Cold, please let me know if you had a similar experience, because I felt that the characters were very puppet-like. Their emotions were very exaggerated or non-existent. They cried a lot, but it didn't feel real to me. It could have been fleshed out a little more, and by this I mean that if the characters had had a little bit more flesh, I would have felt more for them, and maybe I would have been emotionally connected to them, which I wasn't now. Another thing, and this is from an author's perspective, is that the author changes POV in the same paragraph. If you change POVs in the same paragraph, then for the reader it's not always clear who is saying the things or who is thinking the things. And lastly, what I hate to see in books that are considered bestsellers are typos. I spotted at least one. It's on page 192 if you want to look for it. Now, I'm the first person to acknowledge that there will be typos in books. It's just, we're all human. Please, my books are probably full of them. But every new edition gets a revision, right? So when a book is a bestseller, I should think that it has been revised more than once. And I don't get it that there's still a typo in it. Anyway, Before the Coffee Gets Cold wasn't really my cup of tea, unfortunately. Up to the next one.